On today's primetime local news, an expert advice on why hygiene is so important when it comes to the coronavirus.
That goes not just for the coronavirus, but also for seasonal influenza and colds and pneumonia.
City Council announced a grant that will go towards 4 different programs on the dangers of tobacco use.
One of the things is if we can help prevent youth from using tobacco, that's where the funding's going to.
And tips from the annual Business Education Conference on how to keep your business competitive in this changing economy.
And the way we're having economic shifts, every industry and every sector is going to be disrupted.
Plus, Season 7 winners of the Amazing Race Canada were in town. We've got their take on Indigenous Awareness Day.
Prime time local news, serving the Lakeland and Midwest regions.
COVID-19 has many people taking extra precaution when it comes to basic hygiene, with many stores across the country running low on supplies. Hand sanitizers, masks, and other cleaning products have been flying off the shelves with the pandemic of the coronavirus. The best thing the public can do is wash their hands with soap and water for at least 20 seconds. Stay home if you're sick and make sure to cover your coughs and sneezes.
There is a worry about coronavirus. The influenza virus has been around, cough, colds, lots of those things. This is a way to protect ourselves from everything. So I think it's important just to do on a daily basis, not just right now, and maybe more important right now, but it is something we should be doing all the time.
Most of the younger population are low risk of developing severe symptoms. However, during this time, if you're feeling sick, then it's highly recommended you stay at home.
I think the biggest thing is just if you are sick, stay home so that you're not passing it on to some of those people that might be a little bit higher risk. And that goes not just for the coronavirus, but also for seasonal influenza and colds and pneumonia. So it's important that we just be aware of that and stay home if you are sick.
If you have any major concerns about your health, consult HealthLink 811 or your local health care provider. 4 programs across 3 organizations in the border city will be splitting over $28,000 from the city to help educate people on the dangers of tobacco. The Lloydminster Area and Drug Strategy, Lloydminster Sexual Assault Services, and the Lloydminster Interval Home Society, each receiving funding for campaigns, including for information, smoking sessions, and youth awareness programs.
From using tobacco, that's where the funding's going to. So 4 organizations in the city came forward and put proposals together for administration to review of various items and working with youth and communication and all sorts of things. So I think that's very important that we know we have organizations in the city that are working to try and prevent the use of tobacco.
The money for the grant comes from a fee paid by tobacco retailers in the city.
That money is collected annually with their business license, with the intent, as we saw today, for that money to come into the city and not be put into general tax revenue, but to be put back into the community to help with tobacco use and encouraging youth and other people not to use tobacco.
3 of the 4 programs receiving the grant are focused on youth. The city is hoping the public attends an open house on city's plans for an updated Lloydminster Cultural and Science Centre building. City Council is still reviewing a plan that would see the current building demolished, with the artifacts being housed in other locations, while a new facility is constructed or a wide-scale renovation on the existing building.
What we'd like to see is people come out and ask some questions of what we've got so far with council and what the direction that we're going, where we see things going forward to help share that idea. Certainly we appreciate people's input. We've received input prior to this. We want to make sure people understand what's happened at council so far.
Having an information session before moving further on the LCSC was decided after Councillor Aaron Buckingham heard concerns from the community about the speed of the process.
If you look at the report and look it up online, you'll find that the decision to move forward in looking for an alternative to the LCSC, in my opinion, is by far the best decision we can possibly make. But for me, it's more about information gathering and letting people know that that's what's going on, why it's going on, and making sure everybody has a chance to see why.
The open house will be held on Thursday, March 19th from 4 to 7 p.m. at the LCSC. Looking at today while preparing for tomorrow was the topic of discussion at today's Business Education Conference. Our Jace Mackey has more from the event.
The next one is digital is non-negotiable. It's here to stay.
Members of the Lloydminster business community came to participate in a morning of learning and networking. For the past 20 years, the Business Education Conference has taken place in Lloydminster. This year, the event featured panels with local experts on topics like skills that are needed for the future and how to stand out in a crowd. The president of Sask Polytechnic, Dr. Larry Rosa, came to share his knowledge.
I've been invited to come up and provide a bit of a keynote to the business and industry breakfast that they're having at Lloydminster, and the topic they wanted me to talk a bit about was disruption, the future of work, and so that's kind of what my speech was about, or my talk was about. But really it was to engage people and get them to start to think about disruption that's coming and what it means to their particular industries.
Many speakers talked about the need for businesses to prepare for a business environment that's always changing.
I think it's all about awareness and educating people about change, the impact it's happening. It's not in the distant future, it's here right now. And sessions like this start that conversation and get people to start thinking about it. And that's what we all need to do. We need to start thinking about disruption. And in my institution, I'm often heard.
One of the things we talk about with technology and communication.
Lakeland College was one of the organizers of the conference. The connection between trade schools and industry has grown as colleges partner with industry to help solve problems.
But it really speaks to the strength of partnerships that colleges and polytechnics have with industry, and that really is our competitive advantage, that really close partnerships and ties we have with industry, because industry is often at the front of change. And the more we can work with them and partner with them, then that allows us to experience that with them as well.
As technology continues to advance, industries including the agriculture and energy sectors will need to evolve.
The way technology is changing these days and the way we're having economic shifts, every industry and every sector is going to be disrupted. Every industry and every sector is going to be a technology company. So what does that mean, and how do we need to start preparing for that?
Jace Mackey, Primetime Local News.
At E.S. Laird Middle School, they offer a unique class that incorporates in-class learning and hands-on learning outside the classroom. In this week's Beyond the Classroom, our Abby St. John takes a look at the grade 9 course that teaches students skills that isn't taught in any other courses.
Eco 9 is a class offered at E.S. Laird Middle School that takes the students outdoors to be in nature while learning about it.
We're trying to spend more time outdoors and learning about the wilderness, and so we've done multiple trips where we've learned about how to starting fires and doing all other outdoor activities like snowshoeing and cross-country skiing and hikes and stuff. But we've also trying to tie it with the classroom, so we're trying to do about half and half.
We just got back from a trip up at Blue Mountain where we built quincies, and that's where you build a pile of snow and then you dig it out and it's like a little snow shelter, and then we actually spent the night in the little quincies, so that was pretty cool.
The program is liked by the students so much that one student switched school divisions just to take the course.
I had lots of friends who were always telling me about how this program and all the fun activities you get to do, so then we could learn how to say canoe, where in another school you didn't learn how to canoe, where say canoeing's a fun sport, you get physical activity, and you could use it lots.
Eco 9 uses a lot of hands-on work, which the students find easier to understand what they're learning instead of sitting at a desk.
It makes it easier because I can't really pay attention that well, and using my hands helps a lot. It's really fun. I mean, it's more fast-paced, but you get to do a lot more fun things that you wouldn't normally do with other classes.
It's way easier, I believe, when you look at and actually do it with your hands, and you learn better, I think.
A big part of the Eco 9 program is their hydroponics room, where they grow plants and physically learn how to grow and take care of different types of plants.
We grow plants and we got fish in the ponds, and it creates lots of fertilization for the plants because it'll suck the water out of there and water the plants with that. So it creates lots of nutrition for the plants, and it's a great way to learn how to garden. So then if you want to grow any of your own vegetables one day, you know how.
To take Eco 9, the students have to have a certain grade average and write an essay explaining why they want to take the course. For this week's Beyond the Classroom, I'm Abby St. John.
Take Lakeland College for a test run during their 2020 program information sessions in mid-March. Lakeland College, leading learning since 1913.
The Amazing Race Canada winners of Season 7 were in town today and gave us an inspiring presentation at Lakeland College for Indigenous Awareness Day. The Alberta couple won first place in the 7th season and were here to talk to students about Indigenous student resilience. Each of the newlyweds had a chance to talk about their journeys and experiences of what they went through and being part of the LGBTQ community.
I think anytime someone can give you an outside perspective or a fresh perspective, it's really helpful in recalibrating your own viewpoint, especially in school when you can get in the thick of like finals or midterms or term papers or whatever. Sometimes it's difficult to see the light at the end of the tunnel.
And now they're traveling all around North America and hope that people learn from their mistakes and that people are inspired from them being the first spirit couple on the Amazing Race Canada. They're touring around to speak with students and send a message for people struggling to get through obstacles in life.
Oh, I think definitely the message of our team name, which is Team Agamemuk. In Plains Cree, that means never give up, keep going, persevere. So whatever that is, if you're going to school, at work, if you are not liking your job and you want to do what you're passionate about, rethinking all of those goals and beliefs and working towards that and living your best life. Life is so short.
The winners are currently on a tour throughout North America. And now a look at your evening weather with our Abby St. John.
Thanks, Judy. It's currently -1 here in Lloydminster. Fairly cloudy skies as we've seen throughout most of today. We had just a tiny bit of snowfall, but it wasn't too major and it didn't really stick around for too long. Winds coming out of the northwest at 23 kilometers per hour, making it feel closer to -6 with that wind chill. Across Alberta, +1 out in Edmonton, Red Deer, Rocky Mountain House, 2 out in Jasper, and 0 in Edson, Whitecourt, Athabasca, and Cold Lake. And on the Saskatchewan side, -1 in Meadow Lake, or -2 in Meadow Lake rather, 1 in Prince Albert, Saskatoon, and 0 in Melfort and in North Battleford. Overnight in North Battleford, the temperature will drop to -11. Fairly clear skies, just a little bit of cloud coverage. There's about a 30% chance of some snowfall in the evening. Wind coming out of the northwest at 19 kilometers per hour and then 17 kilometers per hour tomorrow coming in from the northwest as well. There's about a 60% chance of snow tomorrow morning, ending mid-afternoon with a daytime high of -6 and a mix of sun and cloud. In Cold Lake overnight, a little heavier of cloud coverage. The temperature will drop to -11 with a 30% chance or 60% chance of snowfall and then a 30% chance tomorrow morning, dying off by the afternoon with a daytime high of -5 for tomorrow and the wind at 20 kilometers per hour coming in from the northwest. Here in Lloydminster overnight, fairly cloudy skies with the temperature dropping to -10 with the wind coming out of the northwest at 20 kilometers per hour and remaining that way tomorrow. 30% chance of some snowfall tonight, and then tomorrow we have a daytime high of -5 with a 60% chance of snowfall and a mix of sun and cloud with a low of -10. Then on Friday be a high of -15, which will feel closer to -29 with that wind chill with a low of -22. There's about a 55% chance that we could see some snow. Then on Saturday to start your weekend off, a high of -15 as well with the wind chill making it feel closer to -24 with a low of -21 and a 70% chance of snow. That is a look at your 3-day forecast. We'll have more news coming up after the break.
Welcome back. Canada's Humane Society wants Ottawa to require better fire protection in barns to help prevent the deaths of many thousands of animals every year. The Society says a report that nearly 750,000 chickens, pigs, cows, and other animals have burned to death in the barn fires since 2015. It says that's not only tragic for the animals, but hard on the farmers who care for them. It estimates the economic loss to be at least $165 million over the last 5 years. The Society says measures such as sprinkler systems and on-site water storage should be considered for buildings that house those animals. The report says Canada has no rules on fire safety for such buildings. And now here are your agriculture prices for today.
We're a part of less than 5% of Canadian auto body shops and Lloydminster's only locations with certified collision care recognition at City Centre Auto Body.
The women's Rustlers futsal team has a big weekend ahead of them as they look to bring home another ACAC banner for Lakeland. Last season, the women's team lost out to the championship tournament without a medal. This year, under new leadership, the girls are hoping to take a step further with a new head coach, Leith Matlack, who says the key to their success this weekend will be to stay close.
Well, we've been training for quite a bit since November for this, and we've been working on very strategical plays and technical plays, and repeatedly going over that with the players over and over every practice. That's what's really going to be the advantage for us, I think.
The tournament is being held at Lakeland College this weekend, Friday through Sunday. The Rustlers' first game is on Friday against SAIT at 1:30. And now for another look at your evening weather with our Abby St. John.
Taking a look at our satellite radar, a little bit more snow activity than we've seen in the past couple of days. Definitely outside the Edmonton area, Vegreville, Marwayne, Bonnyville, Cold Lake, St. Paul, Lac La Biche affected by mostly central Alberta experiencing that snowfall. We did experience just a little bit here in Lloydminster this afternoon. It was fairly light and it didn't stick very well. On the Saskatchewan side, a little bit more activity heading more down south in the North Battleford, Maidstone and Macklin area. There's some chances of some snowfall falling tonight in the North Battleford area, about a 30% chance of snowfall overnight. Same here in Lloydminster. -1 currently here, as well as out in St. Walburg, Pierceland, Green Lake and Maidstone. -4 up in Isle of Cross, -2 in Meadow Lake, and +2 in Macklin and 0 out in North Battleford. And on the Alberta side, 0 in Cold Lake, Lac La Biche and Provost, -1 in Vermilion, Vegreville, St. Paul, Bonnyville and Marwayne, and +1 out in Edmonton. And tomorrow, -5 here in Lloydminster, as well as out in Wainwright, Vermilion, Bonnyville and in Cold Lake, -4 in Provost and Vegreville, -6 in Marwayne, St. Paul, Edmonton and Lac La Biche. And on the Saskatchewan side, -9 up in Isle of Cross, -6 in Green Lake, Meadow Lake, St. Walburg, Maidstone, North Battleford, -5 in Pierceland, and -3 out in Macklin. Overnight across the region, there's chances of snowfall in Isle of Cross and Pierceland overnight. Light cloud coverage in Bonnyville, Paradise Hill, Unity, Wainwright and Provost, and then heavier cloud coverage in Meadow Lake and Murnum. -12 in Meadow Lake and Paradise Hill, -13 in Isle of Cross, -11 in Pierceland and in Unity, -10 in Bonnyville, Provost and Wainwright, and -9 in Murnum for your overnight temperatures. Your school day forecast for tomorrow to 8 a.m. it'll be around -10 with a mix of sun and cloud, and there's a 60% chance that it could start snowing in the morning, dying off by mid-afternoon. At recess time, it will be -9, a little bit more sun than earlier in the morning. At lunchtime, it'll be around -8 with that same mix of sun and cloud. And then by the time school is out, it'll be around -6 with a little bit heavier of cloud coverage. Over the next 7 days, a low of -10 for tomorrow. And then on Friday, -15 as the daytime high and a low of -22 with a 55% chance of snow. On Saturday, to start your weekend off, a high of -15 with a 70% chance of snow and a low of -21. On Sunday, a high of -14 and a low of -22. Things warm up back on Monday with a high of -8 and a low of -19 with a clear sunny day. On Tuesday, a mix of sun and cloud with a high of -2 and a low of -13. And then on Wednesday, another clear sunny day with a high of -5 and a low of -16. That is a look at your 7-day forecast. We'll have more news in the question of the day coming up after the break.
Well, it's that time again for Question of the Day, and of course, a 90s trend of wearing branded clothing like Gucci and Louis Vuitton have made a comeback, of course. And where were you? Were you taking part of this back in 1990s or whatever, or have you been going on and taking part of it now as well too? I think it's a good thing to try to do those things, but at the same time, it's expensive. I've seen a lot of that happen.
Yeah, our comments, mostly just on the few that we got, mostly they had never worn that or were a part of that trend, and they won't do it today.
Yeah.
One lady did say that she was a part of the trend back in the early 90s, but won't wear that, do it again today.
Yeah.
I was born in 99, so at the very end of the 90s,
Yeah.
so I wasn't really a part of that trend. Today, I don't really like the way it looks, wearing the full outfit with Gucci symbols all over. I don't like that style. And like you said, way too expensive, and it's very unnecessary because you're paying for the brand, basically, not the product.
And I think in the 90s, people loved it. It was a trend. It was cool. It was, you know, people liked doing that kind of stuff. And a lot of rappers and a lot of music videos, you see a lot of that stuff. But nowadays, everybody, you know, people are just doing that for the sake of being part of that, you know, brand kind of look or whatever, in Gucci and other stuff. Nike's another one that people wear from head to toe as well, too.
Yes, yes. I do have a friend who will, if he's wearing Nike, it is head to toe, all Nike.
Yeah. I like it. It's kind of fun to watch, but again, like I said, it's very expensive, right? And we don't want to spend that kind of money anyway. On that note, let's take a look at some of the pets that you've sent. Thanks for sending the pet pics for a chance to win a gift card from the Pet Pack.
We want to see your pets. Send photos of your pet and their name to our Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram to have them featured on Pet of the Day. Your name will be entered into a weekly draw for a gift certificate from the Pet Pad.
All right, I'm very pleased to be joined with Catherine Edwards, the director of Mary Poppins Jr. Once again, thank you for coming down and chatting with us.
Thanks for having me.
It's been a year, but you know.
It has.
You're back here again.
It doesn't seem like a year, but I guess it has been a year.
Yeah, because directing does take up a lot of time. It definitely has that kind of, just feels like it's, you know, not like forever, but.
It does. It goes by, in the initial part of it, it goes by a little bit slower. But then after Christmas, once you start getting into the new year, the last 6 weeks tend to be, it's like the downward spiral of like the roller coaster ride, I guess you could say.
Yeah, and now of course, as I mentioned, it's Mary Poppins Jr. this year.
Yes.
I guess talk about the show itself and the scale of it, because obviously last year you did Wizard of Oz. I guess compare the two, if any major differences in terms of production-wise.
Production-wise, I think the biggest difference this year is that there's actually a lot more stage tricks that you have to do. Some of the challenges that I've noticed this year is there's a lot of scene changes, a lot more than Wizard of Oz. You go from, you know, there's the parlor scene where the main area is, and then there's the nursery, the kids' nursery. Then we jump to the park, and then we go to the bank, and then we go back to the house. We're up on the rooftop at one point with the chimney sweeps. So there's a lot of quick scene changes that need to be done. So I would say that's the biggest challenge that we've had this year.
Of course, with Junior, it's obviously a condensed show, but we were going to talk with Victoria in a little bit here, but a lot of the same songs are still in there, correct? A lot of us know.
Yeah, you're going to see a lot of the songs that you recognize from the show. We've got, you know, A Spoonful of Sugar, Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Don't ask me how to spell it. Actually, I probably could spell it, but don't ask me. And Feed the Birds is another one that's in the movie as well. And then there's some other ones that are not in the movie version that they have in the Broadway version.
I kind of want you to spell Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious now, but no, it's okay. I won't make you do that.
I probably could, actually, but no.
No, I definitely would fail.
I'd have to go slowly.
No, we all would. Now, of course, you know, you've done many plays, and I guess now that you've seen the growth of, how much of a growth have you seen of community theater here in Lloyd, support and the community support for these kinds of shows?
It's been really great. When we first started the program, we were pretty much the only program that was out there doing musical theater. And what's really exciting to see is now there's a lot more happening in the schools as well. The community itself has been really supportive of the program. It's grown by leaps and bounds since it started. I just think in general, society is starting to catch on to musicals, and there's a lot more movie musicals that are out there now. People are just familiar with doing that, and they see how much fun it can be too, not just to see on, or not just to be a part of, but to see on stage as well.
And of course, talk about the cast as well. We're going to chat with Victoria, like I mentioned later on in the show, but talk about the cast that you have. You have a lot of younger kids that have big roles this year, like with the Banks children, for example.
Yeah, we do. So we have the 4 main characters. We have Mary, Bert, and then Jane and Michael. And it's been really interesting this year because normally our younger kids don't have as big of a role in the productions. They're usually smaller parts, supporting roles. This year, Jane and Michael take center stage, and they're pretty much there in every scene. They've had a ton of lines to memorize, a ton of music to memorize, so they've really risen to the occasion. And they've kind of just taken it and ran with it. And then we also have the English accents as well that we've been working on too.
I'm excited to see that, but I'm also curious now. Now I know Mary Poppins in the movie, like she flies on the umbrella descending down. Are we going to see that? Because I'm kind of curious. Do they actually have Victoria coming down on an umbrella?
No. we physically can't do it with the just because of what we have for restrictions for what we have for the stage, unfortunately. But we do have tricks that we use to replicate that.
Now, of course, the show is this coming weekend, so I guess just quickly mention dates, times, and also tickets as well are still available?
They are. So you can get tickets at the Vic Juba box office, so you can call online, 780-872-7400, or you can go on the website, www.vicjubatheater.ca. And the performance dates are Friday, March 13th, Saturday, March 14th, and Sunday, March 15th.
And just lastly, before we wrap up here, favorite song, quickly go.
Oh my goodness. Oh, that's a hard one. The first one that popped into, actually no, Step in Time.
Step in Time.
Yeah, I was gonna say Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, but Step in Time, it's a really high energy song, and they're all really high energy, but that one is really fun to do and to watch.
It must be great to watch. But
Yeah.
Catherine, thank you so much for joining us.
Great.
Always
Thanks.
appreciate it. Mary Poppins Jr. this weekend. Go see it.
Thanks.
Hey, it's Justin Marshall, Hot 101.3 and Boom 95.3 radio stations around the Lakeland. And here's what's happening in the area. Well, coming up here at Eastbourne Hall on Saturday, it's a fundraiser for Brian Thacker. Samantha Cardwell joins me now. She is the organizer. What's happening?
So on Saturday, we are hosting the Thacker Family Fundraiser Dance. We have a shuttle picking up and dropping off from St. Paul and Glendon. We are also including such items as raffle items, silent auction, 50/50s. We have a cash bar, photo booth taking pictures by donation. And we also have the band Gypsy Renegades from Cold Lake coming out who donated their time to be here.
Amazing. So much stuff. You can get it all at facebook.com/hot1013. Samantha, why are you doing this?
Well, you know what? Every family needs a little bit of help sometimes, and this time it just happens to be Brian and his family.
And Brian has cancer?
Yes, Brian does have cancer and has been fighting for about a year now.
And how's the GoFundMe doing?
It's going well. We're almost to our goal.
And what's the goal?
We are hoping to raise about $15,000, and we're at about 11 right now.
That's amazing. And this should put you past the goal here on Saturday.
I definitely hope so.
All right, well, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me.
And if you have an event you would like to feature on What's Happening, shoot an email, jmarshall@stingray.com.